Hey, Peter Corica here from Oz Investor Property Advisors. Today in this video, we are going to be talking about the hottest topics in real estate right now. Housing affordability, is the market going to crash, and is it the right time to invest in property? So housing affordability, big issue in Australia right now. Why is housing affordability such a big topic right now? Well, demand. Right now, we've got more buyers than what we do sellers. There's a massive gap. Over the course of last year, with restrictions, we saw all those buyers locked out of the market. They couldn't do anything. And through that period, what a lot of them did, which is what the smart people did, was they saved more money to allow them to essentially buy a better property, better locations. But what we didn't expect was everybody to hit that market spot and so optimistic all in one shot. And because we don't have the same amount of buyers, we don't have a year's worth of supply of homes hitting the market right now or over the course of the last 6 months, that's caused this affordability issue because we've got more demand than we have supply. There is a lack of land flowing onto the market right now. And until we tackle this problem, we're going to have this housing affordability crisis. And the only way to tackle this problem is we need to unlock more land. Our government needs to make the planning process a lot more streamlined to allow for more land to come on faster to be able to take up all this demand. And this demand is only caused at a national level right now. Wait until our borders open up. Let's talk about that. Then things are going to get even worse if we don't do something about it now, or if you don't get into the market sooner rather than later. FOMO, the fear of missing out. This is another issue, and this is another reason why affordability is an issue right now. Buyers have come out, lack of stock, so buyers feel that they have to do whatever it's going to take. They have to spend whatever it's going to cost in order to get a property. That's why we're seeing shorter marketing campaigns. We're seeing a lot of properties sell within days of hitting the market, and a lot of properties not even hitting the market. So FOMO has certainly kicked right in, particularly here in Melbourne, and is certainly one of the big issues. And then there's also the cheapest interest rates in history. Right now, money is so cheap, it's never been this cheap before, and it's predicted to stay like that for quite some time. So that's also brought out a lot of investors to the marketplace, which weren't there over the course of 2019 and certainly 2020. So now home buyers are competing with investors as well. Investors particularly can sometimes be a bit better cashed up than what your home buyers can be, so they can afford to pay more, which means the competition at auction is very, very strong. Let's talk about supply. Contrary to home buyers, homeowners last year invested in their properties. They renovated. They put in new kitchens, new bathrooms. They configured it. They put in the new Zoom room and home office, which is certainly a change that is happening across Australia right now. We're seeing new home builders removing the theatres and the rumpus rooms and instead including the Zoom room, the home office. And that's because the way we lived and the way we're going to live in this post-pandemic Australia, it's changing. We're working less from the office, we're spending more time with family, our quality of life has sort of improved. So a lot of people feel with their property prices increasing, their housing costs reducing, why make the move right now? They're comfortable, they feel wealthier, they feel more secure. So that's why we're seeing this really, really restricted supply coming to market, which is a big cause of why property prices just keep on soaring. And with no new home dwellings really being added to the marketplace in the very, very near future, we're not going to see an ease on property pricing unless something changes. So what's the future for house prices over the next 1, 2 to 3 years here in Australia? It is the hottest topic on everybody's lips at the moment. Some think we're coming into a crash. It's a bubble and it's going to burst. In fact, economists last year came out and said that the property market would crash by up to 20 to 30% during and at the end of the whole COVID-19 pandemic. That was a prediction made, which was really ridiculous. and made them look like fools, because at the end of the pandemic, we bounced back. Property prices here in Melbourne have gone up by about 17% since we were reopened, since we're allowed to get out and operate normally. And when we were able to get out there towards the end of last year, these same economists came out and then predicted that house prices across Australia would increase up to 25% over the next 2 years. So a lot of other people think it's never going to get better. And now is the time to buy, because it's not going to get more affordable. There isn't going to be a crash. Truth be told, nobody knows exactly. We don't have a crystal ball that's going to predict the future. You can only make your decisions based off the facts and figures that you listen to. So looking at the facts, Australia over the course of, or since Federation, since the 1900s, has this ability that every time we're faced with a global crisis, a war, a pandemic, we retract and then we come out of it and we expand, we boom, we go through this period of growth. In the 1900s, we had the First World War, we had the Spanish flu first, our economy retracted, come out of that pandemic, we boomed. World War I, similar scenario, retracted, our economy dropped, we were in recession, come out of the World War I, and there was the roaring 20s where we went through this massive expansion and massive growth period till around the Great World Depression in the 1930s, same scenario, recession, retraction, and then come out of that and there was just constant growth right the way up until the Second World War in the 1940s, where obviously we had that global recession as well. We were fighting the war, and then again came out of the World War, and from post World War II to I think it was 1990, Australia just saw this growth, expansion, and just a stable economy, stable growth that just continued to happen. 90s, obviously we had that recession that had to happen, had a slight retraction for 3 or 4 years, and then bang, things have boomed again. On a global scale, GFC hit 2008. The rest of the world had a global financial crisis. Really, they all had financial crisis. Here in Australia, we basically had I think a month of uncertainty, and then a whole heap of government incentive hit the market at that place. And we've really been in a bit of a boom since then. CoreLogic's National Home Index value recorded a 2.8% rise in house values in March alone. This is the fastest rate of appreciation since October 1988. Unemployment rate is down to 5.8%. It was at 6.2 at the height of the global pandemic. It was 5.3% in 2019 and 5.7 in 2017. So we are nearly at the same level of unemployment that we were in 2017, which was, no pandemic, there was no global crisis, and we were doing whatever we wanted. We're one of only a small amount of countries that have been able to control the whole COVID situation and effectively have no cases outside of hotel quarantine. The Westpac Melbourne Institute Index of Consumer Sentiment surged 6.2 month over month to the highest reading since August 2010. So we're feeling the most optimistic that we have since back in 2010. Australia is also the 13th largest economy in the world by GDP, which is a pretty good thing to be rated with such a small population. And we have also recently been ranked the second best country in the world to live due to our excellent quality of life, and this is according to the United Nations Human Development Index. So it leads you on to that next question. Is now a good time to buy? Well, based off these facts and figures, I think it is. I think if you wait for the property bubble to burst, you could be waiting for something that's never going to happen, and then you're going to miss out. So that's my take on property prices and what's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 years. The headlines at the moment are all about housing affordability. Melbourne You know, house prices hitting a medium $1 million house price value. Buyers leaving the market frustrated because they're getting outbid at auction, and it's very draining. And there's now a new terminology out there that people are having boom fatigue. And it doesn't have to be that way. Housing affordability, if you look at the whole of each state and the whole country, housing is still very, very affordable if you're prepared to do the hard work and find the opportunities. What the news doesn't report is that there's many off-market transactions happening right now. There are still many affordable suburbs throughout Melbourne that are well under $1 million, that have great amenities. I've shown you a few of them in my suburb reports and reviews. But you just need to apply the time and the patience and the skills and the know-how to find these properties. And that's why sometimes getting a bit of help can be that big difference for you. Having somebody to partner with you, somebody to guide you, and somebody to take you through the whole journey and process can make it a very rewarding process, with your ideal property being bought at the end, while you sit back, relax, and do what makes you happy. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like the insider knowledge on the market, click the link below to download My Property Investment Secrets. Or if you need some help or you're ready to buy, give us a call. We would love to help.